Greetings, everyone. I'm your host, VideoVomit. Happy 2018, everybody. This is the first episode of the new year, and I thought it'd be a great idea to start dwelling in the past already of last year. And I'm going to talk about my top 5 favorite movies of 2017. I saw a lot of movies in 2017, and I haven't seen all of them. There's some that I didn't get to see yet, like The Disaster Artist and The Shape of Water. So that really sucks. It's been really busy, and but apparently I had enough time to see Star Wars like 3 times. So, it's all subjective. So whatever. I put down a list of everything that I saw this year, and I was looking at it, and I saw a lot of movies. So I'm just gonna name off all of them, or not all of them. There's probably some that I didn't mention in here, but there are quite a few, like The Last Jedi, Get Out, Logan Lucky, It, Baby Driver, The Devil's Candy, Logan, Wonder Woman, Justice League, Thor Ragnarok, SpiderMan Homecoming, Blade Runner 2049, The Void, Girl with All the Gifts, Raw, The House on Willow Street, Super Dark Times, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Mother, Kingsman: The Golden Circle, Creep 2, Kong Skull Island, Ghost in the Shell, Split, Cult of Chucky, Better Watch Out, Ingrid Goes West, The Babysitter, Mayhem, Atomic Blonde, John Wick 2, I Don't Feel Home Alone in This World Anymore, and XX. Holy shit, guys, I saw a lot of movies. That is a lot of movies. But I put that list together, and I was just staring at it, and I was like, okay, now which ones were my favorites? So this was really hard, and I think that, what I wanted to do is I wanted to do a little bit of honorable mentions first before I, dug into the list. So I do have a few movies here that I wanted to talk about before the actual list. So this is my honorable mentions. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them, 7 honorable mentions, more than the actual list itself, but hey, just deal with it. So the first honorable mention on my list is Logan Lucky. This is the Steven Soderbergh directed movie. I thought it was awesome. It had awesome performances by Channing Tatum and Daniel Craig and Adam Driver. It's a heist movie with a heart of gold, I keep calling it. It was a lot cuter than I thought it was going to be, and when, I love horror movies and gore and action and all this stuff, but I do appreciate a movie that just like makes you smile and like makes you laugh, and it's like a genuinely happy movie, even though that like things go wrong. It's a heist movie, so of course, things go wrong, and so it kind of feels like Ocean's 11 in those Ocean's movies because of the same director, but at the same time, it feels a little bit more personal and stuff like that. So I did really appreciate that movie. And then the next honorable mention on my list here is Baby Driver. So Baby Driver is another heist movie, but it doesn't depend on the heist itself because there are multiple bank robberies that they go through in the movie. It's more of a love story than anything. It has great action, high energy, and an incredible soundtrack. So, what am I talking? You guys have seen it, right? You've definitely had to see it. If you haven't, what are you doing? Go on and watch it. It's perfect for, those you don't know what to watch, you want to be in a good mood, it's something like that. I love that Edgar Wright, he synchronized, noises and music it just feels like an extended soundtrack or an extended music video of some kind, a very high production value music video or something. But yeah, it also has solid acting and very entertaining characters that are very out there. They all have their own distinct personalities, like Jamie Foxx and John Hamm and even John Bernthal for like the minute that he's in the damn movie. He does a really good job as well. But yeah, I think it's a very good movie, and you should definitely check it out. Then my next honorable mention I got here is a very weird one, very divisive, but it is Mother. So Mother, or as I call it, Anxiety the Movie. It's a psychological thriller. God, what do I say about this? Me and Tom did a review of it a while back, but so maybe go watch that to get the full brunt of it if you haven't seen the movie. But this movie's a real trip. Either you'll love it or you'll hate it. It's not your typically shot or executed type of movie. It has its own like dreamlike style, and it's basically the story of God and Mother Earth and their relationship and what that is like, and how maybe God neglects Mother Earth in favor of humanity and stuff. So it's basically that story told in a way where our stupid, feeble human minds can comprehend it. So I actually really enjoyed it. It's kind of like Eraserhead, where I really, really liked the movie, but it kind of like psychologically scarred me to the point where I don't know if I'll ever be able to watch it again. But, you know, hey, well, you know, that's just me. You know, you might be able to watch it every day of the week. I don't know. But if you haven't seen it, maybe give it a shot if you're feeling adventurous. If you haven't and you're just not into that sort of thing, probably just steer clear of it altogether. So then I have some, the next two are some really good horror movies that you should definitely check out. This one is called The Devil's Candy. Really, really good. From the director of the also kind of critically acclaimed in the horror realm of the movie called The Loved Ones, comes a twisted story about family. It's about a painter played by Ethan Embry. You might know him from the 90s and also, you know, some of his walk-on roles in some television shows and stuff. And his daughter and his wife move into their dream home in Texas, and slowly the father is being haunted and possessed by some kind of force in the house, all while the previous tenant of the house is who killed his own parents and stuff in the beginning of the movie. Spoiler. And he's trying to finish what he started, basically. So it's, you have like this, the threat of the house and whatever the hell is going on in the house, and this dude getting possessed. And on top of that, you have this extremely creepy dude who wears a tracksuit and plays metal guitar and eats bowls of candy. And he's trying to kill this family as well and burn the house down and stuff. So it's very creepy. It also has a awesome metal soundtrack, you know, just full of classic metal music. So metalheads, if you really enjoy, you know, some metal music in your horror, you know, there aren't that many out there, you know. So this is a great addition to that kind of like little subgenre. So let's move on to another honorable mention. This one just barely missed the list, but because, you know, this list was really hard for me, but I had to put in the honorable mentions. This is The Void. This movie, wow. Okay, so if you're a fan of 80s movies, if you're a fan of the gore, if you're a fan of the practical effects, and if you're also a fan of the nostalgia exploitation genre, it's like, you know, the newer movies like Kung Fury, Father's Day, Hobo with a Shotgun, those kind of movies that where they invoke that 80s style, but then at the same time, you know, it's like got the newer techniques and it looks crisper and stuff. So they're kind of like trying to invoke the nostalgia 80s style. So this movie is kind of similar. You know, I don't want to go into the plot too much. I just want to pique your interest enough to see it. It was made by the people who, Astron 6, they made Father's Day. And it's a great throwback to, like I said, to the 80s horror films. It feels like a John Carpenter film, not as tightly shot and put together as a John Carpenter film. Think of it as like the greatest fan horror movie ever. You know, maybe not ever, but you know, I would say it's better than like Harbinger Down or something like that Kickstarter movie. I think that this movie got a lot of support, and I know it did kind of get a release in 2016, but I think it got a wider release in 2017, so that's why it's on this honorable mentions list. So yeah, definitely check it out. It's got some really gross stuff in there, really weird ending. It's got some cults. You know, it's the people locked in a hospital with the disgusting creatures going on and stuff. It's like The Thing meets, you know, like some kind of like Contagion movie with wrapped up in a cult, and then you stuff that inside a hospital. So there you go. And then the last two I have on my honorable mentions list here is first we got Ingrid Goes West, and this movie is about Aubrey Plaza. She plays an unhinged girl who stalks people on Instagram, and she uses up all her chances in her hometown. So she everyone hates her and knows that she's like super creepy and messed up. So she finds a new obsession on Instagram, and so she decides to like completely uproot her life and move out to California. Hence the term Ingrid Goes West. And she tries to like snake her way into Elizabeth Olsen, the girl that she's obsessed with. She tries to snake her way into her life Elizabeth Olsen's boyfriend is played by Kurt Russell's son, which is crazy because, you know, he's doing some good stuff. You know, he's in a Black Mirror episode and stuff. So I really like this movie. It's not like a horror movie. It's not like your thriller. It's not like Single White Female, even though it kind of is like Single White Female a little bit. She like takes on her character. Aubrey Plaza takes on Elizabeth Olsen's like looks, characteristics, stuff like that. She's a person who doesn't know who she is, and she's just struggling, trying to find her place in the world. And I think that's what makes her such a like, you can connect to her so easy because you know what that, to some degree, we all know what that's like, that not fitting in, that whole thing, you know. So she's a sympathetic character, but then she's constantly messing up. So you're like, no, don't do that. Don't, oh, no, you know. So it's a very up and down movie, but I think it's very. I thought it was really good. I normally don't like movies like this, but there's something in it. It just was special in some sort of way where I actually really enjoyed it. And then it does have its own kind of like twisted happy ending in a weird way as well. So. And then the last movie on my honorable mentions was another movie that just didn't make it into the top 5 is Wonder Woman. What do I have? What can I add to what hasn't already been said about this movie? It's just a kick-ass movie. Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, she kicks ass. Chris Pine, handsome guy. You know, what else do you need in a movie? But yeah, you know, I think that what didn't get it on the list was the villain. I thought the villain was pretty weak. And then the ending fight scene and stuff wasn't really that great. But the rest of the movie is really solid. Like, I'm really surprised that this movie is as good as it is. I mean, like Patty Jenkins, you know, you did it. You did what a lot of people said couldn't be done. So, you know, if Matthew Vaughn doesn't want to do a Superman movie, I would be more than happy enough to see you do a Superman movie. So, yeah, kudos to you. Kudos to Gal Gadot. You know, you've already seen it. You're not a viewer if you haven't seen it. So just come on, you know, whatever. So let's just get into the actual top 5 now. Let's just jump right in. What are we wasting time for? So my number 5 movie of the year is Get Out. So Get Out is such a wildly intelligent film. It plays on very realistic types of fear relevant to this day and age. Jordan Peele makes his incredible debut as a director in this movie. You know, he was in. They did Keanu. They did. I don't think they directed that. I could be wrong about that. But you know, they also did Key and Peele and stuff, and that was mainly comedy. And you know, while their skits do get like borderline creepy sometimes, that, you know, he's never done this genre. So the fact that he can just kind of come in and know what he's doing, it kind of reminds me of John Landis and him doing American Werewolf in London, previously doing a bunch of like comedy movies and stuff. So, you know, sometimes those comedy people are very sick, twisted individuals. So, yeah, I thought it had solid and brilliant acting in it. When you revisit for another watch, there's still something there to come back to. At first, when I saw this movie and the whole twist and everything happened, I thought that maybe a second viewing wasn't going to be good. But when you come back to it, you kind of realize how well it's like all layered together, put together. The clues are all there and everything for the very twisted ending. So yeah, it's just a really good movie. It has great tension, but it also has some really great humor as well to balance it out. That's, you know, like that comedy background really does play into it in a good way. And it, like I was saying this earlier to a friend of mine, but it feels like a full-fledged movie version of a Black Mirror episode. Like, this could be in like something like that, which is funny because Daniel, I hope I don't say his last name wrong, Kaluuya was in a Black Mirror episode himself. Yeah, so I thought that was very interesting. He was a very good actor in this movie, very, very compelling. And a great leading actor for this movie as well. So definitely check out, I almost said Black Mirror, definitely check out Get Out if you haven't seen it already. And yeah, it's just a really good movie. It's my number 5. So coming in at number 4, you know I had to have a superhero movie on here at some point in time. So it's going to be SpiderMan Homecoming. And that could be a trivial choice to some people, you know, like why isn't Thor on here? Why isn't Wonder Woman on here? Why isn't Justice League on here? So it was between this movie and Wonder Woman for me, but I absolutely loved Wonder Woman, like I was saying before. But in my comic book movies, you know how we all kind of appreciate something a little bit more out of these movies than, you know, like it's like, oh, I look for this in a movie. So for me, in my comic book movies, I always look for the relationship between the main hero and the main villain. Like, is it compelling? Is it, like, does it hold the movie together? Does it carry the movie? And for this particular movie, out of when I compare it to the rest of them that came out this year, yeah, like this is the best hero versus a villain movie, comic book wise, that came out this year. Like, you can argue with me, that's fine, and say whatever you want in the comments, but I just feel like this movie had the greatest relationship between the hero and the villain, which was, you know, Tom Holland and Michael Keaton, or Peter and the Vulture. So I just really, really enjoyed their, like, chemistry together was really, really good. So I love this movie because it has so much heart. Tom Holland and the supporting cast is fantastic. It feels fresh even after all the iterations of Spider-Man that we've seen. I mentioned that the villain, and out of all the superheroes, that this movie was by far the most compelling villain and the most relatable. And I think he was possibly the most best handled villain, you know, as far as comic book movies go this year. Because when I think about it, Logan didn't have that great of a villain. I think the only one that could go toe to toe with this one, and you could argue with it, would be Thor Ragnarok with Hela. But again, I don't think she got nearly enough screen time and like development, or like, you know, like. So I'm gonna spoiler Thor Ragnarok right now. So she's Thor's sister. But yet, it's kind of just like, yep, that's it, that's what it is, you know, and then that's it. Like, there's no, like, they don't, like, Thor doesn't, like, toy or wrestle with the idea of being like, well, she's my sister, what am I, you know, oh, no, you know, it's just like, oh, we just got to stop her, whatever, who cares, you know. And maybe that's because he's dealt with Loki before, and he's like, man, my siblings suck, but I don't know. It just felt, I feel like Thor just went a little too fast in certain parts. I mean, the movie's great. I really like Thor. I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but just in compared to what the things I look for and what for this criteria for this list, I'm talking too much. I think that it was just that this is just the pick I picked. Duh. Anyway, yeah, Spider-Man Homecoming. I really liked it. I thought it was really good, and I think that compared to the rest of the superhero movies, you know, it may not be like the most flashy, theatrical, you know, one, and I know it is a Marvel movie too, so, you know, some people may think that they're formulaic and they all feel the same and stuff. I thought that this one felt a little different, you know, it kind of came from like the kid's perspective, and it had Peter kind of like learning more. And I may not have liked him being such an idiot some of the time, but this is our new Spider-Man, and he does need to learn. And I feel like they handled things, they took their time with it, so I can definitely appreciate this, and it is a great way to kick off all these new Spider-Man, whatever the hells are coming out. You know, we got the cartoon Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse coming out. We have the Venom movie, which may not be, probably isn't connected to the Spider-Man movies. So. But I'm excited to see whatever else comes, you know, like Spider-Man's going to be Infinity War. I can't wait to see him in that, you know, because this is, now that he's part of the Marvel Universe, like this is a very like monumentous type of thing. Like this is awesome. This is like the first movie to hallmark that he's finally back home with Marvel, which is incredible. Now we just need that X-Men movie, you know, the Astonishing X-Men or the All-New X-Men or something to come out for Marvel. So moving on to my number 3 pick of the year, it is It. So y'all knew this movie was going to be on here at some point in time, maybe higher, maybe lower, but it is kind of near the middle. So many great horror movies came out this year, you know, like Devil's Candy, The Void, but I just had to pick It. It was really tough to narrow it down, that's for sure. But this movie, with the cast and the performances and the kids and Bill Skarsgård, Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise, you know, like the performances were captivating. They were compelling. They made you feel like you were right there. These kids, they did a incredible job. Like I look back at a lot of older movies, and like getting a good kid actor is actually pretty tough. The fact that they pretty much nailed it with all the kids, like that's pretty impressive. It has Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things in it and stuff, and he's really good. But then the other kids were really, really good as well. And like the girl who played Bev was really good. And so I was very invested in the movie just because of these kids and like the way that they were talking and hanging out when they're so young, and they're swearing and they're saying all these things that they shouldn't be. It reminded myself of me and my friends when I was that age, and how you just go out, you be kids. That's like, because that's what all there was at the time. And similar, all I had was my Nokia brick phone. There was no like basic texting and all this stuff. So it was about like adventure and stuff like that. So it kind of had, Stand By Me elements, E.T., the whole like group kid thing that's super popular right now. But I felt like it did it special. All of the creepy visuals and the characters that Pennywise turns into. Some people may not like the Flute Lady. I like the Flute Lady. I also really liked, the leprosy guy. He was really gross. There's just a lot in there. I really, there was rumors they were going to replace the Flute Lady with Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger was before the Flute Lady, and I was like, oh man, that would have been cool. But I'm glad that they didn't do it, because, I'm glad that this movie it has like its own essence. It has its own aura compared to the television series. It has a different feel. Like that, the television series is like funnier. That Pennywise is a little goofier. And compared to the book, I think, this Pennywise, he's so vicious, and he like really hates these kids. He wants them dead. They're just appetizers to him. So I thought that the acting and everything was really great. What else do I need to say about this movie? You liked it, I liked it, we all liked it. It is my number 3 pick. So coming in at number 2 is The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi is my number 2 pick. You can either clap or boo, I don't really care. Love it or hate it, The Last Jedi shook up Star Wars as a whole. It brought new things into Star Wars universe, and it was just a very surprising film. Completely blew whatever expectations I had away. Like what if this happened? What if that happened? I bet this is going to happen. None of it, or all of it. Like either some of it or none of it happened. But it taught me a lesson, right? It taught me to maybe not. What am I trying to say? It taught me not to make the movie before I see it, right? Like I had like this huge thing, like Luke and Rey, and then Kylo and the Knights of Ren are gonna come and show up on Octu, and then they're gonna have to fight, and they're gonna have to go, and it's like all this stuff I had in my head. Like I didn't even know it was gonna be like a chase movie, so. I think that for myself, it taught me a lesson to maybe not just create this whole headcanon thing before I even go into the movie. Maybe go into it fresh, and I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that at the last minute before I saw the movie, I was like, maybe I just put everything I have to think about aside and just kind of accept it for whatever it is, because I heard all the early reactions and stuff. And I was like, maybe I'll just kind of clear my mind and I'll just go into it. And I'm glad I did it, because it turned out very good for myself. It has everything that I look for in a Star Wars film. It answered questions but raised new ones. I loved the opening space fight, the throne room scene. Wow, holy shit, that was a great fight. It has extremely heartfelt and powerful moments in it. Yeah, I'm not afraid to admit I was bawling my eyeballs out for like at least I want to say 5 scenes, there's 5 scenes where I was just like, oh man, I don't know. It's so emotionally powerful for me. You could debate this, but I thought Mark Hamill did great acting. Carrie Fisher, rest in peace, you did a great job. I thought the crown jewel of the whole movie was Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley's chemistry and their acting and everything with them together. It was really good. that whole storyline is the most compelling part of the movie. It is worth seeing the movie for, absolutely. I really liked it. If you want to hear more about what I thought about Star Wars, we have a Star Wars full review up. It's nearly as long as the damn actual movie, so we went into almost everything that there is to talk about with the movie. So now I'm going to get to my number one pick of 2017. You may have already figured out what it could be, but my number one pick is Blade Runner 2049. Wow, what a movie. This is by far the best looking movie of 2017. And it's the best looking movie on the list, and it is also a sci-fi masterpiece. The storytelling first narrative is absolutely incredible. Strong acting from Ryan Gosling, Robin Wright, Ana de Armas, and Harrison Ford. Some people may, Sleepy Ford, Grumpy Ford now, people call him, that, he just kind of shows up and just does the basic. But I thought how kind of detached he was and how angry he was made sense for Deckard as a character, as to, he's in isolation, he went full Obi-Wan Kenobi, effed off into the middle of the desert, and so he's full of regret, he's full of pain, he's full of all these like angsty old man emotions, and so I feel like him being that way, it made sense. It's a very idealistic movie, and much like the first Blade Runner, it asks questions about the meaning of life and what it means to be human, which are really big questions to ask in a movie, like in a sci-fi movie, let alone any movie. But it handles it perfectly, in my opinion. This movie is so... It manages to keep the storytelling focused and quiet, but it's such a human tale, even though it's not. It sounds like I'm speaking in riddles because I'm trying to dance around spoilers and stuff. But yeah, it's such a nuanced film with tiny, intimate moments in it that I don't think that you could see in a normal sci-fi, not a blockbuster, because it wasn't a blockbuster. You could say it was a failure, much like the first one. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was just very well thought out. Denis Villeneuve, the director, it was just a solid 3-point shot. I'm doing fucking sports metaphors now. But he just nailed it, man. I don't know what to say. This movie is so moving to me. It's so, it's so ripe with interpretation and perspective and stuff, much like the first one as well. The atmosphere along with the soundtrack, man, the soundtrack is amazing. It makes the movie completely enveloping experience. It's an incredible movie. It is without a doubt my number one. I knew I had to work backwards. I was like, okay, I know what number one is. Now the real hard part is trying to fit everything else in, and it was just a solid movie to me. I really liked it. I feel like I gave it an 8.5 out of 10 on my review on the show. I could be wrong, but I think since then, I think it has gone and bumped itself up to a 9 because it's just such a good movie. I really, really enjoyed it. So, which is your number one movie of 2017? What were some of your list favorites? Let me know, or any of mine on your list and stuff. Just let me know. So now I don't have any visual aid or anything, but I did want to talk about some of the worst movies I thought of 2017. Now there was a lot of good movies this year, but there are quite a bit of stinkers as well. So I only put 3 because there was really only 3 that really just pissed me off. So movies like Death Note and Power Rangers, yeah, I didn't like them, but I didn't I wasn't oh God, some parts of it, yeah. Death Note came pretty dang close. But, and Power Rangers was just such a garbage movie to me as well. So, sorry if you like those movies. But I had to pick 3 to just kind of rant about, and so I picked Life, Leatherface and Alien Covenant for my worst movies of 2017. So Life, I thought it was so lame and predictable and boring. Like, oh, let's put famous people in there so then they think they're gonna live and stuff. Like, I called that like so early on. From the trailer, I could tell what was going on. And then the whole ending was like trying to be a misdirect, and that was easily callable too. And then the alien was weak. I don't know. It was just a boring, lame, weak movie to me. I'm sorry if you liked it, but Life, that got like a 3 out of 5. I don't know. I really didn't like it at all. Leatherface. Holy hell, what a bad movie. Ah, God. Oh, this is the worst movie by far of 2017. I know I'll probably talk about Alien Covenant after this, but wow. Just, oh man. I tried to like write something about it, but then I like couldn't really formulate how, like if I wanted to go over the whole movie, we could. I'll just do a whole separate video. But I just really didn't like it at all. There was so much to it that just didn't make sense for Leatherface as a character. Again, they tried to do this like whole like, who is Leatherface? Is it this person? Is it this person? When in reality, it was pretty like apparent which one they were going to choose the whole time. And then they tried to give him like a love interest. Leatherface, a love interest was just, oh God, I'll go blind if I roll my eyes any harder. And the ending was garbage. Just the acting was abysmal. It was like supposed to be a road trip movie, and then they like just hang around a lot of places, and then like it's supposed to lead up to this climactic ending and stuff. I don't know. It just is completely just the worst. I haven't been like, oh, like I haven't wanted to turn off a movie just being like, this is so bad. I cannot bear it anymore. And I came so close. Like, I just didn't want to deal with this movie anymore. I am embarrassed for the people involved in this movie. I'm embarrassed for the people that directed it. I'm embarrassed for the people that produced it. I'm embarrassed that I watched it, in all honesty. Yeah, I haven't hated on a movie this hard on the show before, but it was just really bad to me. Like, I'm sorry if you really liked it or if you thought it was okay or whatever. And if you hated it, hey, high five. Talk about what you didn't like. Talk about what you did like in the comments. You know, if you did really like it, let me know. Let me know what I missed. Let me know what I'm not seeing here. And then finally, Alien Covenant. I mean, a lot of people had a problem with this movie. I thought that everyone was a freaking idiot. They didn't know what they were doing. You know, these are supposed to be trained scientists, and yet they're like, oh, hey, let's just forget it. John Denver, man. You know, if you know what I'm talking about. You know, they changed their route. You know, they were like, let's go to Safe Planet. And then they're like, let's go to Risky Planet. Just you know, because we heard a sound or we heard a song. We heard a John Denver song, which was ironically in like a bunch of movies this year, same song, last year. And I don't know, as a Prometheus sequel, it's horrible. As a Alien sequel, it's also horrible. The aliens, like, they should, okay, so the Neomorph, I don't really like the design. I don't really like that David is like the daddy of the Xenomorph. Does this mean he creates the alien at some point in time? I thought Fassbender did okay as like, oh, you know, like I'm a robot, and then there's another robot, and this one's got a different type of way of speaking. Wow, crazy. I don't know. I didn't like the ending like at all. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's where the Queen facehugger is supposed to come in, and like I think that's what they kind of alluded to. I thought Naomi Raprice got the short end of the stick. You know, I really liked Prometheus. You know, you can say what you want about Prometheus, but at least it was like a different movie. At least it was trying to do something interesting and unique, and you know, all this stuff. And this movie felt like a mess, because it was like, well, what about Neil Blomkamp's like Alien movie? Was that supposed to be like, you know, that was supposed to be like a real Alien sequel. It was supposed to have Hicks in it and maybe Newt or something like that in it as well, a little bit older. Like, they were all supposed to be a little bit older. And when I think about something like that, I'm like, wouldn't that be like a better like follow-up? Wouldn't that be like a better like, because I feel like Scott was kind of pandering, you know, being like, okay, you want the aliens, we'll put the aliens in there. You want this, we'll put this in there. And it feels like he was trying to like rectify a bunch of stuff. But when you could have just made like a real, you know, either do something completely different like you did, or like with Prometheus, or just, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I'm not a genius. I'm not a film genius, but I don't know. This movie just felt so off. It felt so disjointed. It felt so, like, in the whole time, like, okay, so for instance, in the first Alien movie, right? Ripley does everything possible to prevent things from happening, and she's like a smart person. Everyone does everything that they're supposed to do, and yet things still go wrong. But in this movie, like, you can't, you're just like, you deserve all this. Like, you did this to yourselves. Like, you beefed up, you messed up. Like, everything that you did from one point on in the movie is all your fault, pretty much. So, like, all the faults that everything happens, everything that goes wrong, it's like, I can't really, like, feel bad for you because you kind of, like, did this to yourselves. So, I don't know. Those are my top three. I kind of like just ranted and raved and sounded like an old crazy person on his front lawn. But yeah, did you like those movies that I didn't like? Did you not like them? Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comments. I'd be interested to find out. So guys, that's my list of the best of 2017. So many great movies this year. This past year. What I was saying before, did any of mine make it on your list? What is your top 5? Let me know in the comments. If you liked today's episode, be sure to give it a like. If you want to stay up to date on all our future videos, like next Thursday's video, which will be Vinyl Variations Part 3, we pre-recorded it. So it's a 2016 video in 2017. So just deal with it. So hit that subscribe button for the future videos. And until next time, guys, this is VideoVomit signing out. See you later, guys.